Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and today's continuation of the What's Next series covers the LA Clippers. And as I'm sure you all know, this will be one of the most closely watched teams of this NBA offseason. There are a ton of different directions they could go in, some that create the next great super team, and others that take a more modest approach that builds around their young talent, and others that fall in between those two extremes. But one thing that is abundantly clear through all of their different options is that the Clippers are in a fantastic position to build something special in LA, either in an immediate sense or with a bit more of a focus towards the future. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's next for them. First up, let's talk about some building blocks for this team, and I'm going to kind of split this up between the young guys and the veterans. Starting with gilgeous-alexander, last year's lottery pick that was extremely impressive as a rookie. He played in all 82 games, started in 73 of them, and showed an ability to play at his own pace while creating offense for himself and others. Coming out of the draft, a lot of people liked his size at the point guard position and figured he'd be able to use that to get to the rim, but what was really impressive about him was him being a league average three-point shooter, albeit on limited volume. His well-rounded game fits so well with this team that he could play off the ball in lineups with Lou Williams on the floor or run the offense and create shots on the ball. And honestly, I don't think it's an overreaction to say that he could one day become an all-star. I know that his per-game averages don't necessarily stand up to that statement too much, but all I'm saying is that I would not be surprised. Next is Montrezl Harrell, a player that quickly became a fan favorite with his energy and effort in the paint. He posted career highs across the board and was one half of an outstanding pick-and-roll combination with Lou Williams off the bench. He showed improvement in his offensive game with a variety of different finishes inside and should continue that production depending on the roster construction next season as he's going into a contract year. Next up is Landry Shamet, a sharpshooting guard that they acquired from the 76ers mid-season in the Tobias Harris trade. He got more opportunities as a rookie in LA than he did in Philadelphia and certainly didn't disappoint, shooting 45% from three on 6 attempts per game. He's another guy that just fits so well on this team with his incredible shooting ability and occasional playmaking as well. It was a great piece to get in return for Harris mid-season. Last up in the young guys category is another mid-season acquisition, Ivica Zubac. Just like Shamet, he got more minutes with the Clippers once he was traded, and he didn't disappoint, posting about 9 points and 8 rebounds a game while scoring efficiently from the field. But there is a slight catch. He's a free agent this summer, so it'll be interesting to see how the market develops on him and how much he can cash in on the potential that he flashed this season. And now we get to the politely named veterans category, beginning with Danilo Gallinari. And as has seemingly always been the case with him, when he's healthy, he's a really good player, and that was the case this season. He has great size and offensive versatility. He can pass, shoots 43% from 3 on good volume, and has great touch really from all over the floor, and can put up 20 points a night with relative ease. However, as I'll talk about a bit later, in the best case offseason scenario for the Clippers, he probably doesn't end up playing for them next year. And last up is the leading scorer for this team, 6-man Lou Williams. He's now scored 20 plus points per game off the bench for the Clippers in back-to-back seasons, and his ability to make plays for others and score in the pick and roll is invaluable for this team. And because of the relative cheapness of his contract, he might actually get to stick around next year as well, even in the Clippers' ideal offseason scenario. Okay, with that covered and with no first-round draft picks to talk about, let's get to the real heart of the discussion for this Clippers team, free agency. As you can see, they have a ton of cap space this offseason with only 8 players on the payroll as of right now. Gallinari accounts for nearly half of their $49 million in player salaries, followed by Williams, Harrell, Gilgeous-Alexander, Jerome Robinson, Landry Shamet, Sindarius Thornwell, and Tyrone Wallace. So that means that without any of the roster moves, the Clippers are sitting at $60 million in cap space this summer, enough for one max player and about $25 million left over after that, but not quite enough for 2 max slots as currently constructed. So option number 1 here would obviously be to create that extra max slot, only if they are able to actually bring in 2 max players. If a combination of Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving or Jimmy Butler or even Kemba Walker commit to playing with the Clippers next year, they can make one simple move to create enough cap space to sign both, trading Danilo Gallinari. He is a good player on a 2020 expiring contract, so he shouldn't be all that difficult to move for minimal salaries in return, and that would be about it. They dump Gallo, bring in 2 big free agents, and they could keep the rest of their roster the way that it is right now, which is part of the reason that this situation is and should be so attractive to free agents. They have 2 max slots and a team that is ready-made to play around a star, with great bench scoring in Lou Williams, a high-energy big in Harrell, young complementary guard play from SGA and Shamet. So from an on-court perspective, the Clippers are a fantastic option. And in addition, in a weird kind of way, the past struggles of the franchise provide a unique opportunity for a player like Kevin Durant, for example, to rehab his image a bit by lifting up this franchise and creating a true championship contender. Now, all that sounds great on paper, but I do find it a bit difficult to imagine a scenario in which the Clippers actually end up with 2 max guys. If you think about it, Kemba seems to be headed back to Charlotte if they offer the Supermax. There hasn't been a ton of news about Jimmy Butler leaving Philly, and the betting odds indicate that he isn't going anywhere. All the buzz around Kyrie is centered around the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Nets, and Kawhi is currently leading the Raptors to championship contention. The best bet I think the Clippers have in signing a max player is Durant, so long as he doesn't team up with Kyrie in New York. And then after that, I'd have Kawhi in second, followed by Butler. But as of right now, I'd be pretty shocked if they ended up with 2 of them, which might make it more or less likely that they bring in 1 at all, depending on the player. And honestly, just getting 1 max player wouldn't be that bad of a deal. They could use the rest of their cap space to bring back their own free agents like Patrick Beverley and Zubats, or sign other complementary players to build around whatever max contract guy they bring in. Or they can wait until 2020 and try to sign another max player there, potentially Anthony Davis. Speaking of Davis, the Clippers could also be a dark horse candidate to make a move for him as well in a trade, in addition to their 1 or 2 max player signings. They have young assets such as SGA and Shamet and Harrell and Lou Williams could also provide value in a trade as well, in addition to a 2020 first-round pick from Philly and a 2021 first from the Heat. So depending on how the other offers shake out, they could put together a competitive package for Davis, or again, just wait until 2020 to try and sign him if his situation gets that far. And really, those are the options that everybody's focusing on, the possibilities for the Clippers that involve max contract players and or an AD trade, but there are other options. It is possible that they strike out on free agents this summer and move forward with a plan that involves keeping their cap space open and building around their young players, because really the only key piece from this team that just made the playoffs that's a free agent is Patrick Beverley. Everybody else outside of smaller role players like Zubats and DeMichael Green are under contract for next year. So in theory, they could just run it back with the same guys next year, take some big 1-year contract flyers on some wing help and some shooting, and just see what they have in their young players, have a ton of cap space once again in 2020, try for max guys, and then use those future picks I talked about to continue to add young players. And then again, even if they don't get any max free agents in 2020, everybody is under contract past that except for Harrell and Gallo. Shamet and SGA will still be on their rookie deals, and Lou Williams' contract runs out in the summer of 2021. And really, that's the key difference between this Clippers team and basically every other situation before them where a team has opened up a ton of cap space to chase max contract free agents in a particular summer. Even if they don't get any of those guys, this team still has a future. Now, what they have to guard against is not being aggressive enough in free agency and then ending up having to pay the young guys a few years from now without having made the big star acquisitions necessary to compete for championships and just running it back with the same plucky, high-energy 8th seed team every single year. Because I think we can all agree that if this Clippers team does have a future as a championship contender, that's going to involve an influx of star caliber talent. But regardless of how everything goes down this offseason or the next, and I'll be covering the individual free agency decisions of the players I mentioned earlier over the next few weeks, like I just did for Kemba Walker, the Clippers are in a fantastic position. They could realistically start next season with a big 3 of Kawhi, KD, and AD, or just keep moving forward with their intriguing young guys and build from there, or anything in between. And honestly, I'll admit that it feels strange to feel so optimistic about the future of the Clippers because this is a team that historically has been truly awful. Who knows, maybe they'll find a way to still screw it up and go right back down to the bottom of the league, but weirdly, I do find myself rooting for this team to find a way to become championship contenders. And there you have it. That is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, then be sure to check out the boxes on screen. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.